The What's Happening Hoke show is filmed before a live audience and is sponsored by the Rock of Hoke, Rockfish Motor Speedway. What's Happening Hoke? We're back alongside here Gary Brigman, Athletic Director, Hoke County. Athletics, everything that is Hoke County.
He's all
Parks, recs.
No.
Middle school.
No. Middle school, yes.
Middle schools and high schools.
Yes.
Gary, thanks for stopping by.
Yep.
I know you saw the NC State Cup. Gary, for everybody that doesn't know, he's a South Carolina Gamecock fan.
What does the Gamecock say?
That's probably causing him a little bit of stress to see the NC State Cup.
No, he likes the Wolfpack.
Yeah. But thanks for stopping by, Gary. Talk to me about, I'm a parent. You're about to start fall sports.
Oh, yeah.
Whether they're playing football, soccer, what have you. What do I need to do? What should I be doing?
What do the kids need to do?
Well, the first thing you have to get is an athletic physical. An athletic physical is very, very important to today's time. And we do offer some free physicals. We've already went through one process of free physicals, and we're going to have another one a bit later on. But it's very important. Athletic physicals has been criticized in the past because it's not as detailed as it really should be, because we're having so many fatalities in athletics and so forth. We are, and it's hard to get doctors to put their signature on an athletic physical when they are
just skeptical
when they
about
know that there's a possibility. Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a lot of digging to go into it, and you just don't never know when a heart murmur is going to be there, or you miss it,
or a brain injury or something like that. It's hard to detect.
Do they do a concussion test down part of it, or any kind of check whatsoever?
It's a concussion protocol. It's kind of like a pre-measurement protocol where you go in and test. That's a battery of tests that you do when you don't have a concussion.
Right.
And if you should happen to be on the playing field or the court and you have a concussion, then you go through that same protocol, and then you look at the measurements from when you didn't have a concussion to the measurement when you possibly could have one.
So if a kid had a concussion last year, we know that, John Brown, there may not be a John Brown, but anyway,
Right.
Had a concussion. What precautions do we take going into the season this year?
Well, first of all, there's a number of precautions. Number one is that our athletic trainer will know that he's been concussed before.
Which is Miss Smith.
So they keep track of previous concussions.
Right. We keep track. And also, we put them in situations and make sure that their helmets are fitted properly. A lot of times the helmets are not fitted properly. And but we make sure all that has occurred. And there's some things that is out there on the market. Some of the new products, I'm not really sure, it's kind of like a skull cap that doesn't go on the top, but it goes inside the helmet.
Okay.
That helps. It's kind of made out of the same material as.
Is that one?
No,
that's what
This would be something they would wear on the head.
Right. There's an air bladder in there also.
Now, what's the cost involved with it?
Well,
basically call it a concussion.
The concussion cap that you would put inside of it, it's similar to a lot of the vests that police officers are wearing, bulletproof vests and so
forth. Like a Kevlar.
Right.
Yeah,
it's similar to that. And it's got the Under Armour stuff in it where it takes the sweat away and everything. But we're seeing more and more of that getting put in helmets. It's fairly inexpensive, and we're considering buying, maybe about 20 or 30 and putting into some players that are in high risk, like linebackers and running backs and so forth, that could get concussed. But it's the G-Feller Act is law.
G-Feller Act. What is the G-Feller?
G-Feller Act is two students that were concussed, and they were brought back to play too early. One in Greenville, one in Winston-Salem, about 5-6 years ago, and they died on the field.
Both
after
died.
the second hit.
Wow.
And they took a hit, but they were brought back too quick. So it's an act that's been brought in by the General Assembly that we have to follow. Part of it is educating the parents, educating the students, educating the coaches, and we go through a protocol of that every year. Our physical form has gotten a lot bigger. It's now a bifold. One is the athletic part of it, with release and the actual physical. And the other part is the GFLR, which is educating the parent. The parent has to initial certain things and also gives them certain things to look for if their child should happen to be concussed. And so it's something that, I'll tell you what, it sure wasn't there in 1978.
I remember, I'll tell this story, I think I've told you before, on my sports show, I interviewed Roman Gabriel one time, the great quarterback from NC State. And I asked him when the rules were talking about concussions, and I said, Mr. Gabriel, what do you think about these new concussion rules and all this and that? And he said, what concussions? Back in my day, they called them Excedrin 3 headaches. They pulled them off the side, gave them an Excedrin 3 and said, now get back out there and play football. You did that today, somebody's going to jail.
Yeah.
And then Bob Paroli, the legendary football coach around here, I asked him, I said, Coach Paroli, how do you think we can get through this concussion issue in high school football? And he said, well, I know one way to do it. He said, make them carry around them old leather helmets that they used to wear. They won't lead with their helmet anymore. But that's about like me saying, that's about like Glenn saying this guy had the papers.
Yeah, I was going to say about like that guy that wrote the letter to the editor about the AC. So
All right.
move on. That's
Anyway.
what that sounds like.
All right, look.
Back in my day, we had leather helmets.
All right.
Okay.
Right now we're in spring football. It's May 28th, and Glenn and I were out there yesterday. It was getting a little warm. I don't want to talk about the heat. I want to talk about the state of North Carolina finally going to a spring practice format.
Yeah.
I think it's good, and there's a lot of people that are sort of for it, but we still have some coaches and athletic directors that are against it. Tell us, I think they can tweak it and continue to move forward. What's been the big issue about not wanting to have it? What's still not wanting to have one?
Well, the 10-day spring football, I think it's a stepping stone for something bigger. I think it's a stepping stone to some of the stuff that is seen in Georgia and South Carolina.
So now they have mass participation.
Yes, you can have unlimited numbers, which is something good that we can go into and get the kids in our school and get them out there.
Right.
Which sometimes that's a problem in the summer. And so, but that's a pro. We have
It's
to
a positive.
Yeah, we can get
And conditional.
right, and we can find the kids and get them out there. Some of the drawbacks to it is that some of the skill development that goes on throughout the year, which starts in January, it's as early as they can start it, is gone. The only thing they got is these 10 days. That's a drawback, and I know my football coach isn't pleased with that because of it.
So they didn't take the drills and then add spring to it. They gave you the spring and took away the drill workout.
Well, they did that. Mainly it's the numbers. How during the skill development you couldn't have but 21 football players out there at the
In a
time.
given day.
In a day. Now you got unlimited. That's
You only have 10 days.
that's right.
But there's no hitting. Can't go full pass unless it could.
Well, you go shoulder pads and helmets.
But Coach McCants, one of the points he made was like, one tweak he would like to see it started later because it's closer to the exam time. Normally spring practice was more like in March last year, I believe.
That's
So
your
this year's
skill.
in March.
That's your skill development.
Right.
It shouldn't be called spring practice. It shouldn't be called that.
Yeah.
It's skill development. But you know, and the other good thing is it leaves the kids alone. Now we got so many kids, and we're a small populated school as far as athletes and so forth.
population.
And you know, we got several kids on the baseball team that plays football.
Right.
We got quite a few that runs track that plays football. Now the kids are not torn. So should I go to spring workouts, or should I skip baseball today and go work out?
So now
Am I
everything's
getting
done.
behind?
Right.
Am I getting behind doing this?
Right.
And that takes that out of the kid's head. Now they can focus on the spring sports, and then when the spring football rolls around, then they can participate in that without any worries.
So
I think that's
to that degree in Hoke County, I think that's going to help.
Oh yeah, I mean that's definitely. a
Well,
plus.
the other thing that I saw was seeing all the kids out there at one time makes me see that the school system, the football players, the numbers are good. Where before in January and February, if you only saw 21 or 22, you're thinking, oh man, low turnout. Oh man, low turnout. But now you got a lot of kids involved. So I think it's good from that point of view. All right, and the other thing we wanted to talk about was rule changes coming up this fall for football. Hoke County has 11 games on the schedule, a couple of new games in there. We're going to go to the Rocky Mount, going to play the Griffons.
Yeah.
So we got to travel up north. That ought to be fun. What are some of the rule changes this year that people need to be aware of?
Well, the new schedule is important. We would love to play all the Fayetteville schools, obviously, because,
They fear the rat.
Yeah,
And they fear the rat.
they're in our back door. But sometimes the scheduling part of it is almost ridiculously, and we had the school to drop us kind of late, so we had to end up
Westover.
Yeah, picking up Rocky Mount,
Right.
which is good. It gets us away from our area a little bit. Some of the rule changes, I think the rule changes is more or less points of emphasis. Targeting last year was a point of emphasis. This year, it's not a point of emphasis last year, it's a point of emphasis again this year.
That'll get them thrown out of the game.
Yeah, that's cleaning up. When I say targeting is to specifically try to hit somebody.
Also known as
with the
spearing,
intent.
that you call that.
Yeah, with the intent to hurt them. And that's right there is cleaned up. But I think overall the game is good. I think the game is safe. And some of the things they're talking about is again, they've decided that you cannot put so many players on one side of the football on the kickoff, which was
I remember that one.
which was something that is supposed to help on the injuries. And then also, instead of backing them up 10 yards to run to the football for the kickoff, you run 5 yards, which their speed is not.
They don't pick up enough head of steam.
Head of speed.
Right.
And so these things, where most of the injuries occur, is on kickoffs. And if you see some of these all-star games, like the collegiate all-star games, and if you watch the Pro Bowl is nothing more than just a powder flag football thing. But some of the all-star games, they pretty much kind of do away with kickoff completely because of the risk of injury. So high school, National Federation of High Schools took that and kind of modified it and tried to limit some of the injuries that could happen.
Does that take away from the excitement of the game? Less kickoff returns. We live and die by the big play.
Yeah.
It seems at Hoke County. We'll always get one or two during the game. It's just us. We're going to get one or two during the game. Normally, it's on a kickoff return.
Right. Well, it does. It's an exciting play. It's exciting. The only thing that's not exciting is for the coach. I think the coach is probably more tense during the kickoff than anything because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if your team is going to score or your team's going to fumble the ball. It's just everything's open field.
Right.
It's an exciting play for the fans, but not so exciting.
A little nerve-wracking for the coaches.
For the coaches, you never know what's going to happen.
Well,
I remember years ago, I used to have a group of boys that loved the kickoff team.
Well, a lot of times, if you were a young player, that's when you made the team on special teams.
They'd love to run down there.
They love to get going head of steam.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about, in this week's paper, we were able to get a story in there about a new head coach for the women's basketball team. A name familiar to everybody in Hoke County and probably the state of North Carolina, Kelly Daniels, a Hoke County native, graduate of Hoke, went to UNC Charlotte, 49ers. And then went in the WNBA draft, did not get drafted, but she got selected to play overseas. She played in several countries. She is now going to lead the Fighting Bucks in women's basketball. And I know it doesn't look good, but I went ahead and looked back and looked at the stats. And over the last, since the last winning season we had was 2007-2008, when the Bucks were 14-6 under Coach Hollingsworth Shaw. But in the last 9 years, the Lady Bucks are 51-122. Do you think this is the person that can take us to the promised land?
Well, the one thing that we looked at was stability, and we had to have someone that was stable in that position.
Wasn't going anywhere.
And I really think Kelly, being this is her hometown, and she still have her family in Hoke County, and her roots are still here. And her heart's still here because when she was away, she would always come back and do camps for us. And I really think this is something that's going to be special for her. But part of that problem was the stability part. I think we had real good female athletes coming through. When Ms. Hollingsworth Shaw stepped down, we had a coach for 2 seasons, then we had a coach for a season. Then we had another coach for several months,
Right.
and another coach for another one
a lot of
season.
turnover.
It was a lot of turnover. And so the
It's like
girls
that
really,
with the football
yeah,
coaches
yeah,
too,
yeah. And the girls had no stability, and I really think, getting Shakelly in here was, number one, it's gonna be, bring some of that stability that we want there, and I think it's gonna be nothing but a positive there, and her knowledge is tremendous. She's been around, she knows basketball, and she's gonna have to have some help, with some other things that goes along with being a head coach.
And I noticed this week, or this year, let's go back and make sure we talked about the Scholar Athlete. Scholar Athlete is an athlete that has a 3.0 GPA in the classroom, 3.5, I was in the error on my part, 3.5 GPA in the classroom, and they must maintain that GPA in the season in which they played. And this year, Hoke County has 145, one of the largest numbers we've seen in the last probably 10 years. And you were saying about the curriculum.
Yeah, the curriculum has really helped a lot because we were offering more challenging courses for our students across the board. I mean, not only in athletes, but all of our students. More students are taking more college prep and more
Dual enrollment.
college courses, which carries heavier weights, which if they're taking heavier weights, then obviously their GPA is going to be higher. So that just shows that our athletes are being challenged in the classroom, also are accepting the challenge in the classroom as well as on the
And
field.
exceeding.
Yeah.
3 middle schools now pouring into Hoke County, filler system into the high school. We're up around 2,400 students. Take me through, is that gonna make us, we'll always participate in the Big 4A.
Oh yeah, that's a
But it should be a positive, just because you got 3 middle schools doesn't mean you got high-class athletes that are pouring in, or
we have to
what's the
understand
effect?
that we have to understand a few things. One, this year was the leveling year at Sandy Grove, because Sandy Grove now, all those folks that's in that district now is going to Sandy Grove. So now we leveled there, and their numbers have gone up, which when their numbers went up, also their success in athletics went up. This year they won the conference championship in wrestling.
Wow. Yep.
And they won like 4 football games this year, and went to the finals in basketball, boys basketball. So their numbers have leveled, and so now we're starting to see. One thing good about it is that when you have 3 middle schools, they're going to send you 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's true.
Competitive.
That's true.
Yeah, they're going to send you 3 quarterbacks. They're going to send you 6 running backs. Just math.
There you go.
So simple math.
Simple math.
That's a good point.
Simple math. That's a positive. Regardless of if the best quarterback might be at East, and the best running back might be at Sandy Grove, but there's going to be somebody that's got the quarterback.
That may be
West
West
Middle.
Middle, yeah.
That's going to have the quarterback for West. He may not be as good as the quarterback at East, but he's being trained
Right.
to be the quarterback at West, so he's getting the reps that he wouldn't have gotten
If there was only 2
schools.
Well, and the talent pool, you might find somebody that necessarily you wouldn't have seen before with 2 quarterbacks.
Well,
now you see 3, you may find somebody who has to develop some skills, and they develop and run. The other thing that I wanted to mention was in the grand scheme of things, is Coach Parrish, and this is probably a Coach Parrish question, I think I've asked him, but do you know if we're going to use a system in the middle schools and run the same type of system at the high school so these kids can do it?
There's a lot of coaches that do that. Pinecrest and Richmond County, and they do that. It's going to take some work. First, it's going to take.
Is it something we're looking?
It's something that you pretty much. It's something that we are doing right now. It's a modified version.
Is that a real benefit though?
Well, to me,
Because we run like the learning curve too steep. I mean,
I really think that in middle school football and middle school thing and the scheme of things, you need to work on fundamentals.
right.
And fundamentals of football is blocking and tackling and getting in good stance and just basic fundamentals. You can run your plays and so forth, but if you're doing those things right, and when they hit the 9th grade in high school, those things can be introduced to them without any issue. But if we have to spend time reteaching fundamentals, then that's
time away from running
time away,
technique
time away
and strategy.
Absolutely. But, talking about middle schools and so forth, some of the things that we've incorporated since, we kicked off Sandy Road. This past year, we introduced middle school golf. And middle school golf went in and won the conference championship right off the bat.
And cross country.
And now we need to do cross country. But the middle school golf, I was real tickled with that. And this year, Hal's going to be really tickled to hear this, is we're going to start up
NASCAR.
a intramural setting for tennis, where we're going to bring in some of the kids that are interested in tennis at 3 middle schools.
Wow.
We're going to provide them with a coach from the high school, and he's going to take 2 nights a week, teach them the game, and then the second half of the fall, we're going to have some matches where they can play.
amongst each
We got the new tennis facility in the high school.
And so we're trying to,
We need to put that in the paper.
we're trying to do it in the paper yet.
Just don't put that letter in there.
Don't mention that yet. We just put it out on the
But
World Wide Web.
it's just a vision. It's just a vision of.
It's a vision.
It's a vision of mine.
I think it's great.
I'm going to introduce to the Board of Education
This summer.
next month, and I think it'll be a good. I think it's very inexpensive to do. The only thing about it is that we're depleting the pool of athletes. That's one of the things that
We don't want to get.
that we're getting involved in at the middle schools, is that we're pulling there's too many things for the kids to do, which is good. But also, whenever you're looking for some of your better athletes, and then one will say, "Well, I want to play tennis. I really don't want to play football."
Right, right.
And so,
That deal with some soccer.
yeah. And so we're wrestling with that. Some of our numbers are down. Our numbers are down in track. We're talking about maybe doing one track team from Hoke County.
Now, is middle school in track?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a track program there. It's a lot of things that we're still, hopefully we just ain't outgrowing our britches, as some people would say.
Yeah.
And everything, but just but the middle schools are doing fine. I think we still need some improvement on some facilities at the east and west. There's some things that we need to work on, continue to work on, and I think we can get things back where we need to have.
I think everything seems to be shaping up.
Last question, Gary. Realignment. How's that going to affect Hoke County, if at all?
Well, realignment. The last realignment that we went through, we had Dr. Williamson on the committee,
Okay.
and so we didn't get very far. That's good.
Didn't get messed with too much.
But that's bad, because we didn't get far. It's a really tough procedure, and it's really a lot of folks and a lot of things they looked at and so forth. One thing they looked at was an all football conference. An all football conference means that you play football in a conference, but you may not play basketball with the same conference. That's right. So they looked at an all football conference. Well, with that being said, as somebody would say, we had 8 teams in there, including 71st, Southview, New Hanover, Hogger.
Big time.
I mean, it was a really tough league.
It made our schedule
So,
tough.
that was a talk. And then now they've gone to a 20, 30, 30, 20, which is 20% of the schools are going to be 4A, 30% will be 3A, 30. And that's where it's going to affect Cumming County. Cumming County will probably
Get split up.
some of their schools are going to get knocked into 3A, this 4A. And then some of the 4A schools, and then obviously going to stay there and so forth. But anyway, it's going to split Cumming County, and I think it's going to hurt them a little bit. All the folks in our conference will probably stay the same. Maybe Scotland will go 3A. Scotland's numbers are down. Hoke County High School is the biggest rural high school in the state.
Wow.
Fastest
growing county.
When we looked at the numbers during the period of when they were subdividing in football, when they subdivided, and as far as numbers and population of your school, we were the 8th biggest high school in the state. All the schools that were above us were city schools or municipal schools
Like
like
Charlotte.
Charlotte and Raleigh and
Greensboro.
and Charlotte. And
So we're big, we're growing, and we.
realignment is something that we need. We need another school in our conference. We have 6 schools in our conference. We need another school in our
You
conference.
talking field turf, Gary?
One of the things that I was told when I took over as athletic director, we screwed that turf out there on
You're
Rand's
fired.
Archery Field. I was fired. So
That same stuff that's on the field at Raz Autry Stadium grown by the Carolina turf farms in here is the same type of stuff that's on the field at FedEx Field up in
Right.
Washington for the Redskins. So we got some good grass down in
We
Hoke
do.
County.
We do, absolutely. But I think, people talk about the field turf, it's expensive, but also there's some certain amount of maintenance you have to keep up with. And Lord help you if you get a staph infection in there, it's just unbelievable.
How to get it out.
How to get it out.
Right.
But anyway,
It's called Joe Pool.
the field turf is good for schools that are landlocked, like Douglasburg would be a good example of having field turf on the field, because they can go out there and practice on the field. They won't have to practice in the outfield, the baseball field.
Right, right.
Or Westover, the same, they're landlocked. So I think a field turf field will fit good. If you
We
put
got
up,
nice practice area.
if you put up our facilities against anybody, it's some of the best in the state.
Especially the weight room.
And the weight room was an improvement this year. The turf, like I said, it was done in the 70s. It was sprigged by the PE classes and stuff in 1972, and it's still good. I mean,
The Morgan Credit is one of the best fields to play on.
Well, the drainage system was way ahead of its time.
We have a couple of bare spots this year that we're going to work on. The sideline bare spots, which is the norm. But we're and I got a good groundskeeper, David Bounds, who does a really good job in this, and then takes ownership of the facilities, which is good.
Well, I'm good. I'm pleased. I'm excited about football, and I think this year is going to be a
New
stepping
Hanover,
stone year.
August 21st.
Yep, I think it's going to be a stepping stone year for Hoke County.
Well, this coming week, I'm going to start shaking bushes and start doing some fundraising and so
But we're going to
Well,
help.
I know that Rockfish Motor Speedway wants to talk to you about that very thing.
Yep.
Gary, thanks for coming
All
on.
right, not a problem.
We're gonna take a break, we're gonna come back, we're gonna talk racing results and close it out.
I'm not going to put the helmet on this.
Don't, stop moving the helmet, leave it alone.